Welcome to Startup with Poland, where we take a deep dive into some of the most exciting innovations taking place on the Polish market. My name is Tessa McIver, and I'm your host. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Aleksandra Owczarek. Ola is Chief Marketing Officer at Binderless, a startup that deals with construction documentation management. Ola's whole career has been focused on marketing and the startup world, either directly for startups or with organisations that support startups, such as Google for Startups. I'm really excited to find out more about Binderless itself and what makes Ola tick when it comes to startups. Ola, so I'm delighted to have you with us here today.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Now, tell me, we're dying to know, what actually does Binderless do?
Okay, so in short, we are digitizing the documentation for the construction industry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super important because, as you know, there are many documents when you are raising up a building and you want to keep everything under control.
Mm-hmm.
Binderless does just that.
Wow. So what's the reality if you don't have Binderless?
Well, usually you rely on manual methods, you have to fill in some intricate Excel spreadsheets, and you have to take it under control. You have to remind people about decisions that they have to do. There are plenty of decisions because on the construction side, you actually have to make decision for each of the materials that is being bought by the general contractors.
Mm-hmm.
So as you may think, there are many decisions to be made.
Yeah. And where did this idea, come from? And how, did you personally get involved in Binderless?
Yeah, so I was there from the idea phase, because we were going on a trip with friends in the mountains, and we're talking about the reality of the startup world. And my friend was working at the construction site at the time. He had those stroke of genius that he has a lot of problems on the construction side, and why not start a startup to solve them? And that was the beginning, because he was trying to manage it and to find other solutions. But the construction side and the construction industry is so specific that there wasn't any, evergreen solution available on the market at that time, and everything that there was for more complicated projects, super big investments, but he didn't manage an investment like this, so we decided to create one for smaller companies that have just several constructions under their supervision. And that was the start. And not long after that, we called our other friend who was working in IT, and we said, let's start a company. We got together, we did a Canvas business model. And that's how it started. And then we had to take it seriously. We went and did the first acceleration so we could consolidate our vision, our idea for it. Because as you know, everyone has a little bit different idea of what it will be in the future. So we actually did that to unify it. And then we started working on it. In 2021, in July, we set up a company, the legal entity, and that's when it started seriously.
To get real.
Yeah, exactly. And we also got a grant for 1 million złotych to develop.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. To develop our idea into something concrete. Concrete when we are talking about the construction industry, And we just wanted to show the whole industry that you can switch from storing all your information in the binders into binderless solution. Exactly. Because you don't have to, have them on paper. And there is also this data that was really shocking to me. In the construction industry, 92% of data is not processed in any ways because it's stored on paper. So you cannot actually analyze it. You cannot properly draw any conclusions about the process, what went wrong, what went right, what can be improved, right? And when you have all these data online, it's much easier.
Yeah, I can imagine. But did you know anything about the construction industry personally? So you said, your friend was working on these projects, but what about you? I don't think so.
For me, I wasn't a construction industry expert, I must admit, no. I never worked in the construction industry before we started Binderless. But as you know, for a startup, you need a team that has complementary skills.
Yes.
And that's what we were trying to get at the beginning. So there was Piotr working on site, having all this know-how about the construction industry. Mariusz, who is our IT guru, who was working on ERP systems, which is something that we are doing. It's common data environment, the platform where you can store data, and he was working on such solutions before, so it was also a perfect match. And I was working in the startup ecosystem in Poland, and I'm also a marketer, so that was the third puzzle. Also second, Piotr, who is backend developer and who has this knowledge about AI and machine learning, which is also super useful in our case because we are using that to make our platform more intuitive for the construction industry, right? So we formed this team that has everything to set this project up. Exactly.
Ola, when we had a conversation previously, I was really fascinated to find out that the construction industry is the second least digitalized industry after fishery industry. These statistics never entered my mind beforehand. But why do you think? Because, the fishing industry, maybe you can explain somehow logically more why that would be. But why and how is it possible that construction is not at all digitalized?
Yeah, I asked this question myself beforehand many times because we also don't know, to be honest. I also checked the data. I think it's because it's a very traditional industry where people, it's like a family tradition to work in the construction as well. So you kind of pass on the way the construction side is being managed.
Okay.
And I think this is one reason for that. The second reason for that could be that people think that when you have the machines, like the heavy ones that enter the construction site, this is already digitization. They don't think about the processes. They don't think about the information management. They only think about raising things from the ground. Exactly. So this may be the second reason. So justifying digitization with all the heavy machinery instead of digging deeper into processes, into lean management, into information management storage as well. So I think that's it. I've heard so many times that people are doing something in the industry because it's been done like this for many years before and it worked. So they're a bit afraid of changing the way they operate, I think. And that would be my guess.
And taking that into account, that there's a sort of pushback in a way on innovation to some extent, how welcoming has the market been to Binderless? Do you not have that problem that, people say, okay, it sounds good, but we're not interested. We're going to do things the way we've done them for, generations.
Well, sometimes, I won't lie.
Okay.
We've heard that. We've heard that before. But, it's really interesting. I think no one has ever really asked those people what they really want and need on site. And we kind of approach building our startup a different way than what has been done before because it obviously didn't work from our perspective. So we kind of sat down with the representatives of the general contractor, of the investors, of the inspectors, and we asked them, okay, what is your biggest problem? What should we solve first? If we delivered you this and this and that, functionality, would it be helpful to you? And then when we developed our mock-ups, we asked them again, okay, so is this something that you really wanted? Is this something that can help you? And the response was was very good.
Okay, fantastic.
So yes, I think that's the first thing that we did differently. Then we asked ourselves a question. Well, if these people are not used to using digital solutions, then what can we do to make it easier for them to make this transition, right?
Okay, fantastic.
So the first thing that is the most important in our platform is to make it super intuitive, right? So that people are not overwhelmed with all the processes, all the information that they have to fill in. Actually, we developed our platform in such a way that when you upload a document, it's automatically digitized. So you don't have to convert everything into PDF and then upload it. You can just upload an image, everything that you want really into the platform, and it's already digitized because we are using OCR, optical character recognition, so that we can read everything without having, to force people into changing their habits, right?
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, it does seem like you're making the whole user experience as simple and friendly as possible.
We put it, as the most important thing for us, because we realized that it was something that these people were missing, that all these available tools on the market, because we discovered that they are not intuitive, they're super big. They are really only for the most complicated projects out there. So people
they're
don't
quite off-putting.
they are very off-putting, and people don't feel the need. And also they think that it's too big, too expensive for them. And we made it our mission to make tech solutions available to all the companies in the construction industry, however big or small, because we think that, now every user can, send money to other side of the world in minutes. You can order food in seconds, right? So why not use it? Use this pattern for the construction industry,
Fantastic, fantastic. I love that. And Ola, you yourself, you've had a lot of experience working, for example, with Google for startups and generally supporting startups.
Right.
But what is the difference between, working with startups and actually being inside the engine room, being in a startup?
Yeah, there is a huge difference. But one thing is the same, and it's the energy of the people. So I think people who decide to, embark on this journey and start their own company, tech company especially, they have to be a little bit crazy, I think, because there is a lot of work. They have to be very curious about the world, how it works. They have to learn new stuff all the time. And I really love the atmosphere, this dynamic, and I really loved the energy of the people in that startup world, because they were ambitious, they were kind of nerdy, and I've been a nerd my whole life, but I was always afraid of calling myself that until I found the startup world and I started working with startups.
And then you said, I'm home.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, this is something for me. But having your own startup is very difficult, because you have to make a lot of difficult decisions. You have to hire people and, make this decision that this is someone who will help me build this company of mine. You have to sometimes fire people, which is super hard. And I think we wouldn't have this level of responsibility in any company for the next 5 years, I would say. Because unless you start your own company, your own startup, you never learn how the business works, what complicated decisions will be in front of you. And I think this is the difference, right? Yeah. Working with startups, you just feel this energy and it's super nice. But having a startup, you feel this energy, but you also are responsible for your employees, for your idea, for the roadmap, for the functionalities and modules that you want to develop next, whether they will respond to the market needs. And it's a lot of difficult pressure, but also responsibility. And this is nice, don't get me wrong, it's not bad responsibility. It's something just a little bit surprising, because we started our company when we were pretty young, in comparison to what the market average is, etc., etc. So I think it's also super nice to start something of your own and to make these decisions.
Yeah, no, actually what you just said now, made me think of an article I read a couple of days ago where the mental health of founders was actually really underlined, that actually apparently some survey showed that, I won't quote where, but some survey showed that founders really feel that their mental health is something that, for example, is not discussed on boardroom level, that investors are not interested in this, etc., etc. But actually, that with exactly all those decisions that you spoke about.
The investors say that the team is the most important, right? But they do not go deeper into that, I would say. Yeah, I think it's, like the whole company and its future relies on the founders, right? On their decisions and stuff. So there is a lot of pressure, I would say, to make right decisions. But it's not about right decision, but I think it's about the attitude that you have to always come up with new ideas. And we are always laughing in Binderless that we have this experimental approach. Like, we do everything as it is an experiment, and it kind of helps with your mental, because when you do something as an experiment, you kind of look at the outcomes and decide whether you want to continue this experiment because it's going well or not, right? Because the effects are not what they're supposed to be. And I think it kind of helps also with our perspective. Like, everything is a little bit experimental with startups because you don't know, because nobody done that before. So you don't have any data like how to do it right. So we are experimenting, I would say.
Yeah, no, well, I think that's great that you found a way, to sort of deal with actually these pressures.
Uncertainty, because that's what the startup industry is. We say, like, it's a very risky business, and investments are of high risks because there is no previous knowledge about it, and there is a lot of uncertainty. Yeah. But that's also what makes it super exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because you can do something that nobody has ever done before.
Yeah, you can somehow change the world.
Yeah, hopefully. The world of the construction industry, at least. Yeah. And their approach. And I really hope that we are doing it, because we are already have our first customers who are very happy with how they reality changed after starting working with Binderless. We are working in Poland, but we have a project in Bulgaria, which is a multinational endeavor of French team, Bulgarian team, and Polish team. So it's also very interesting to watch how these multinational teams are working together, and how this platform is something that, it's their common ground, like a common data environment that we are delivering. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Ola, that brings me very nicely into my last question, which is, what are the plans for Binderless? Where do you want to be in, 5 years' time? The dreaded question everyone has. But, I'm sure you and the team must have a plan for the future. And what is it?
Yeah, I read somewhere that the founders, that the hardest task of the founders is to have both the short and long-term perspective. And it's true, I would say. So our long-term perspective is for sure to expand internationally in the market, and also to start calculating carbon footprint in our Binderless platform.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, we want to change the way that is being done now. So we basically, right now, you calculate it after the construction, after you buy all the materials, which is a bit pointless because you cannot make informed decisions in the process, right?
You can't improve that.
Exactly. You cannot make any different decision in the process that would give you better results, basically. So we want to change it as the next step. We're already working on it. And this is definitely one of the biggest challenges for the construction industry. And we want to be ready once all the European regulations come into force. So we are focusing on that and on internationalization.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I really hope, that the globe will be using Binderless in the construction industry in the years to come. And I'm sure with, the energy and enthusiasm that you and the other team members put in, I'm sure of your, success.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for joining us and telling the Binderless story today.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
And thank you to our guests, and see you next time for Startup with Poland.